First I'll tell about the robbery our parents committed, then about the murders, which happened later. The robbery is the more important part since it served to set my and my sister's lives on the courses they eventually followed. Nothing would make complete sense without that being told first. Our parents were the least likely two people in the world to rob a bank. They weren't strange people, not obviously criminals. No one would have thought they were destined to end up the way they did. They were just regular, although, of course, that kind of thinking became null and void the moment they did rob a bank. My father, Bev Parsons, was a country boy born in Marengo County, Alabama in 1923 and came out of high school in 1939, burning to be in the Army Air Corps, the branch that became the Air Force. He went in at Demopolis, trained at Randolph near San Antonio, longed to be a fighter pilot, but lacked the aptitude and so learned bombardiering instead. He flew the B-25s, the light-medium Mitchells that were seeing duty in the Philippines, and later over Osaka, where they rained destruction on the earth, both on the enemy and undeserving people alike. He was a tall, winning, smiling, handsome 6-footer. He barely fitted into his bombardier's compartment with a big, square, expectant face and knobby cheekbones and sensuous lips and long, attractive feminine eyelashes. He had white, shiny teeth and short, black hair he was proud of, as he was of his name, Bev, Captain Bev Parsons. He never conceded that Beverly was a woman's name in most people's minds.
So the moment you start, you have a clear sense of what the weight and the length of a story is, how long it is possible to go with.
Yes. It usually has just to do with how much energy I think I have. I mean, if I've just finished a long novel, as I just did finish that in March, then I think maybe I'm only good for writing stories for a while, because I think I don't want to get immured into another long, big, hectic novel that will keep me up at night. And I mean, for me, writing novels is as Olga and I were saying, it's not very hard. It's something that you do every day, and little by little it accumulates. But then you get it written, and it's all finished, and then you have to start editing the damn thing. And then you have to start reading your sentences that you've looked at already for 2 years, 25 more times, trying to find out what's wrong with them. And I just get sick of that. And I get sick of my own sentences and sick of myself and sick of my life. And I don't want to feel that way anymore. I'm even less fun to be around than I normally am. So I think, well, if I write a short story or 5 short stories, then that won't take me very long to read over. Because I read everything out loud. I can't be responsible, being dyslexic, for every word being in its right place if I don't read it out loud.
But what was it specifically about this landscape that struck you? Not only as landscape, but also as a potential setting for stories?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, the fact that it was beautiful made me want to describe it and to see if I could describe it. And so in that way it was provocative. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, landscape is relatively inert, although beautiful, relatively inert. Landscape doesn't cause things to happen. It is the background against which things happen. For me, you may be more romantic and feel that landscape actually causes things to happen.
No, well, landscape facilitates, because you can have, if you're in a very remote area, living very remote with your family, a lot of stuff can happen that could never happen when you're in a crowded street.
Well, that's right. But for me, as a person who's writing about it, it is mostly an opportunity to use language as a kind of scene painting idea. I'm generally well, it's my personal persuasion, having grown up in an alien environment in Mississippi, that I don't want to let, in my life, place determine anything. Mm-hmm. I don't want it to be where you're born or where you grew up be the determinant of your own actions. I want to repose the responsibility for one's actions in one's self. So, and that's just my personal way of looking at things, and it isn't a way that everybody else should subscribe to. I mean, a lot of people actually believe that where you grow up is everything about you. If you lived in the South, in Mississippi, you hear all your life, well, you're very lucky to live here because this is a great place and great things come from here. Well, I never found that to be true. It grew from Anglo-Saxon roots, he said. It's a common name in England. Vivian, Gwen, and Shirley are men's names there. No one confuses them with women. He was a non-stop talker, was open-minded for a Southerner, had graceful, obliging manners that should have taken him far in the Air Force, but didn't. His quick hazel eyes would search around any room he was in, finding someone to pay attention to him, my sister and me, ordinarily. He told corny jokes in a Southern theatrical style, could do card tricks and magic tricks, could detach his thumb and replace it, make a handkerchief disappear and come back. He could play boogie-woogie piano and sometimes would talk Dixie to us, and sometimes like Amos and Andy. He had lost some of his hearing by flying the Mitchells and was sensitive about it, but he looked sharp in his honest GI haircut and blue captain's tunic, and generally conveyed a warmth that was genuine and made my twin sister and me love him.